Thank you, and thank you to all of you for being here. I do want to do a quick follow-up to the coronavirus issue. As you know, we're starting to see an increase here. The County of LA just declared also an emergency. I've learned that the Commerce Department sent out a notice last week that highlighted a change to Chinese regulations, which would make it easier for U.S. companies to export medical supplies. Medical supplies that are in critical shortage here in the U.S., such as masks that I have a family of 3 nurses, they can't get masks while they're working front lines in the hospital. I went to 5 different stores over the weekend trying to find hand sanitizer. It's all completely out. So my question is, has the EXIM Bank consulted with the U.S. Coronavirus Task Force to ensure that we are not supporting the exportation of critically limited supplies that our first responders need in order to protect our communities?
Thank you. We take the coronavirus very seriously. EXIM comes in with those very important tools to help our exporters be successful, and we have supported in the past medical equipment.
I'm sorry, just a quick yes or no.
Yes.
Did the Commerce Department and EXIM coordinate to make sure that we're not drawing down on supplies that are not available to U.S. citizens?
So I've communicated with all key parts of our administration that we stand ready to be helpful in any way. Again, we need to have applications come into us, and we will promptly review any application to help our exporters get medical equipment to China or other places around the world.
But China is important, but you know, the most important for us, the priority should be to ensure that we have these medical supplies here at home available to first responders and to American citizens before we begin to export them out, right?
Our mission, though, is a very specific mission to support the export of U.S. goods.
We cannot cut our nose in spite, you know, of our face. We have to protect our health needs in the U.S. So the left hand has to communicate with the right hand. And we can't say our priority is to, you know, allow folks to pay $150 for a tiny bottle of hand sanitizer because it isn't available anywhere here in the U.S. Meanwhile, you're working to send these critically needed supplies to China. So
I would be pleased to work with you to take a really hard look at our legislation, anything we can do to help support.
I'm just saying, common sense, let's look at it, and please work with the current working group that the president has set up to ensure that they have all of the supplies that they need before we start exporting them out. In this case, exports are no bueno. In relationship to the Northern Triangle of Central America, I'm very concerned that we have not paid attention to major concerns and issues of public corruption. Every business person that I talk to that is trying to do business in the region, their number one concern is having to pay off local governments and corrupt elected officials in the region in order to do business. So incentivizing by providing the DFC signed an MOU with Guatemala to catalyze $1 billion in private sector investment. Mr. Boehler, what does catalyzing $1 billion in private sector investment mean? And are we exposing our business community to huge losses, potential huge losses, because they are investing in Honduras, a narco government, in Guatemala, a extremely corrupt government?
Congresswoman, I want to note I agree with you on this. And I think, you know, something like a memorandum of understanding, if used correctly, establishes kind of a framework to say this is the potential. But this is the potential if you start really clamping down on corruption. You know, and I went to the inauguration of the Guatemalan president, Giamatti, and you know, he spoke extremely well about it. But action has to follow words.
But his actions have been, you know, to punish NGOs who are trying to promote rule of law and good democracy standards.
Yeah.
So we cannot incentivize these corrupt officials to continue with their corrupt ways that are causing all of the mass exodus in those countries, leaving families, babies at our southern border seeking assistance. We have to provide the political support to the region, and we cannot do that by incentivizing American dollars to corrupt or narco traffickers in the region, even if the narco traffickers are the president and his entire family.
Look, I 100% agree. I mean, these MOU is not a commitment, and these things are not conditionless or blank checks, so I agree
The
with you.
BUILD Act, I had an amendment, and my amendment specifically says that assessments prior to providing funding must occur and must be based on these policies and procedures. The law requires DFC to have these policies and procedures in place. And I hope that you have policies already and that you can follow up. My time is up, so I can't continue to take time from the panel, but I hope that you can follow up with my office.
We will.
And that we can get a briefing exactly on what this MOU is, because it is not, there is nothing transparent about this MOU.
Okay.
And I yield back.